I woke to the scent of lavender and vanilla, the same shampoo she'd worn for 20 years. And for a split second, I thought the impossible had happened. Sarah was back, her body warm against mine, her breath steady on my neck. But when my hand slid across the sheets to pull her closer, I felt the stubble, the broader shoulders, the faint tremor of fear disguised as affection, and my world shattered like cheap glass under a boot heel. It was Christian, my stepson, curled into her side of the bed, wearing her old nightgown, his eyes squeezed shut as if pretending harder could make it real. "Don't wake up yet." "Dad," he whispered, voice cracking like a boy's. "Just let it be us for a little longer." That night in our creaky colonial in upstate New York, with the Hudson River murmuring outside like it was keeping our secrets, I didn't scream or shove him away. I froze, heart pounding like a bass drum in some godforsaken parade, because in that haze of grief and half-sleep, part of me didn't want to let go either. Sarah had been gone 6 months. Cancer, the kind that sneaks up and guts you before you can say goodbye, and the house felt like a tomb, every corner echoing with her laugh or the clink of her coffee mug. Christian, at 22, was all I had left of her, the son she'd brought into our marriage when he was just a gangly 12-year-old with a skateboard and a chip on his shoulder about his absent bio dad. We'd bonded over bad horror movies and late-night burgers. Me teaching him to throw a curveball in the backyard. Him fixing my ancient laptop when it blue-screened mid-tax season. He was family, blood or not. And now here he was, blurring lines I didn't even know existed. I sat up slowly, the mattress groaning under me like it was protesting the whole damn mess, and flicked on the bedside lamp. The soft yellow glow caught the lace trim of the nightgown, Sarah's favorite, the one with the tiny rosebuds she'd bought on a whim during our last trip to the Berkshires. It hung loose on Christian's frame, too delicate for his runner's build, but he tucked it just so, mimicking the way she'd sleep with one arm draped over my chest. His dark hair, longer now than when Sarah was alive, fell across his forehead in that boyish sweep she used to tease him about. His eyes fluttered open, green like hers, and for a heartbeat, I saw her in him, the same defiant spark, the same quiet plea for connection. "Christian," I said, my voice rough as gravel, like I'd swallowed a fistful of autumn leaves. "What the hell are you doing?" He didn't bolt or stammer excuses. Instead, he sat up too, pulling the covers around his waist like a shield, his cheeks flushing that deep crimson I'd only seen when he defended his indie band obsessions in high school debates. I couldn't sleep downstairs anymore. "Adam, the guest room feels like a hotel, cold and empty. And you've been tossing all night, calling her name in your dreams." I thought, maybe if I could just be here, like she was, it would help. For both of us. "Adam." He called me that sometimes now, ever since the funeral, like Dad, was too heavy a word to carry alone. It stung, that shift, but I let it slide because grief does funny things to a man. It turns you into a stranger in your own skin. I was 48, a high school history teacher in Poughkeepsie with a gut from too many craft beers and a heart scarred from burying the woman who'd made sense of my chaos. Sarah and I had met at a 4th of July barbecue in '98. Her in a sundress splashed with stars and stripes. Me fresh off a divorce that left me questioning every choice I'd made. She was a graphic designer, bold and unapologetic, with a laugh that could cut through a nor'easter. Marrying her felt like winning the lottery. Suddenly, I had this ready-made family, Christian included, and for 10 years. It was good. Messy, sure, with his teenage rebellions and my workaholic tendencies, but good. Then the diagnosis hit like a freight train. Stage 4, they said, and just like that, our world shrank to hospital rooms and chemo schedules. Christian dropped out of community college to help, driving her to appointments, holding her hand when I couldn't because I was too busy holding myself together. When she passed in May, under a sky bruised with spring storms, he crumbled first, sobbing into my shoulder at the graveside, his fist clenched like he could punch death in the face. I held him then, whispering the same useless platitudes I'd heard from well-meaning neighbors. She'd want us to keep going. But keeping going? That was a joke. The house echoed. Meals were microwave tragedies, and nights blurred into a whiskey-soaked fog. Christian's help started small. A week after the funeral, he'd cook her spaghetti carbonara, plating it with that flourish she loved, setting an extra place at the table like she might walk in any minute. I'd eat in silence, the fork heavy in my hand, pretending not to notice how he'd linger in the kitchen doorway, watching me with those eyes that mirrored hers too perfectly. Then came the photos, framed shots of the three of us at Niagara Falls or Christmas in the Adirondacks, propped on my nightstand when I wasn't looking. Keeps the ghosts at bay, he'd say with a shrug, but his voice always wavered. Tonight, though, this crossed a line I couldn't unsee. This isn't healthy. Kid, I told him, rubbing my temples as if that could erase the image burned into my brain. Pretending like this. It's not bringing her back. It's just going to twist us up worse. He looked at me then, really looked, and something shifted in his gaze, not the sun's deference, but something rawer, hungrier. Maybe I don't want her back. Adam, maybe I want this. He gestured between us, the air thick with unsaid things. You've been shutting me out. Ever since the will reading, you've been a ghost too. I hear you crying in the shower. See the empty bottles in the recycling. I'm not a kid anymore. I can handle it. I could be what you need. The will reading. God, that'd have been a powder keg. Sarah's lawyer. Old Mister. Hargrove, with his wire-rimmed glasses and folksy drawl, had gathered us in his cluttered office overlooking the river. Christian inherited the bulk, her savings. The cabin upstate, because she'd always said he was her blood. Her legacy. Me, I got the house. The dog, long gone now. And a letter in her looping handwriting. Adam, love him like you love me. He's all that's left. I nodded through it, jaw tight, but inside, it burned. Not jealousy. Exactly. More like the sting of being the outsider. The step guy who got the consolation prize. Christian had sensed it, of course, offering to sign over his share, but I'd shut him down hard. It's what she wanted, I'd snapped, storming out to nurse a six-pack by the waterfront. That resentment festered, unspoken, turning our grief into a minefield. He'd tiptoe around me. I'd bark orders about chores like he was still 12. And now this, him in her gown, slipping into her role like it was a costume he could wear to fix us. I stood, the floorboards creaking under my weight, and paced to the window. Outside, the neighborhood slept under a blanket of stars. Picket fences and minivans silent witnesses to suburban normalcy. But normal? That ship had sailed. Go back to your room, I said finally, not turning around. We'll talk in the morning. Like adults. He lingered a moment, the rustle of fabric the only sound, then padded out, leaving the door ajar like an invitation I didn't want. I sank onto the bed, burying my face in her pillow, his scent now, soap in youth, and wondered how the hell we'd gotten here. Little did I know, that was just the crack in a dam. The flood was coming, and it would drown us both before it set us free. Morning light sliced through the blinds like accusations, turning the kitchen into a courtroom where I stood at the counter, coffee mug gripped like a lifeline, waiting for the jury to convene. Christian shuffled in around 8, hair tousled, wearing his usual faded Yankees tee and jeans that hung loose on his hips, the picture of casual denial. He poured cereal without a word, the milk glugging into the bowl like it was mocking the silence. I watched him from the corner of my eye, searching for signs, the way his shoulders hunched, the quick glance he stole at Sarah's empty stool at the island. Last night felt like a fever dream, but the faint lavender lingered on the air, a ghost refusing to fade. We ate like that, side by side, the only sounds the crunch of flakes and the tick of the wall clock, a wedding gift from her folks, its hands marching on indifferently. Finally, I set my mug down with a deliberate clunk. About last night. Don't, he cut in, spoon pausing midair. Milk dripped back into the bowl, a tiny white surrender. It was stupid. I was drunk on that leftover wine, and the house felt too big. Forget it. Okay, water under the bridge. Drunk? The bottle in the fridge had barely been touched, but I let it slide because pushing felt dangerous, like prodding a bruise you weren't sure was yours. It's not that simple. Chris, boundaries. We're family, but that was her space. You're not replacing her. His laugh was sharp, bitter, like biting into a lemon disguised as an orange. Replacing? Jesus. Adam. You think that's what this is? Some Oedipal bullshit from a bad Lifetime movie. He shoved the bowl away, cereal sloshing over the rim. I know I'm not her. I wake up every day remembering that. But you're the one turning her into a saint on a pedestal. The perfect wife. The perfect mom. What about the fights? The way she'd snap at me for blasting my music. Or how she'd forget my birthday because she was buried in deadlines. She was human. Flawed as hell. And so are you. The words landed like punches, each one cracking the armor I'd built around her memory. Flawed. Yeah, Sarah had been snappy under stress, a secret smoker when deadlines loomed, the one who'd once thrown my fishing rod into the lake during a blowout over my ex calling too often. But in death, she'd crystallized into something untouchable, a beacon I chased to outrun the void. Christian's eyes, so like hers in anger, bored into me. You shut down after she died. No more game nights. No drives to the city for bagels. I get it. Grief sucks. But I'm here, breathing the same air. And you treat me like I'm the help. I opened my mouth to argue, to say I was trying. That lesson plans and parent-teacher conferences were my anchors, but the words stuck. Instead, I muttered, I need air, and grabbed my keys, heading for the door. The screen slammed behind me, a punctuation to my retreat. Outside, the October chill nipped at my flannel, leaves skittering across the lawn like fleeing thoughts. I drove aimlessly, past the strip malls with their pumpkin spice banners and the high school where I taught kids about the revolution like it was ancient history, not the blood and betrayal that mirrored my own mess. By noon, I'd circled back to the riverfront park, the one where Sarah proposed me on a whim, down on one knee in the grass, ring from her grandma's estate glinting in the sun. Marry me, Adam Hargrove, she'd said, before you overthink it. We'd laughed, picnicked on PB and JS. And Christian, then 15, had rolled his eyes from the bench, but snapped the photo that now sat in my wallet, faded at the edges. I sat on that same bench now, staring at the water's lazy churn, and pulled out my phone. A text from my buddy Mike, the auto shop owner who'd been my best man. Beer tonight? You sound like hell. I typed back a yes, because drowning sorrows in Bud Light was preferable to facing the boy who'd invaded my bed. That night at O'Malley's, the local dive with its neon shamrocks and peanut shells on the floor. Mike clapped me on the back and slid a picture my way. Talk to me. Man, you look like you saw Lincoln's ghost. Over wings and lies about football scores. I spilled it, the nightgown, the pretending, Christian's accusation. Mike listened, nursing his pint, his face a map of crow's feet from too many winters wrenching engines. Kid's hurting, he said finally, wiping foam from his mustache. Lost his mom. Now he's losing you to this. Widower fog. But that stunt? That's not grief. That's something else. You talk to him straight. Straight, I echoed, the word hanging heavy. Straight. As in, not bent, not questioning. I'd always been the all-American hetero dad, from chaperones, backyard barbecues, the works. Sarah used to joke I was born in a flag factory. But Christian? He'd come out in high school, quiet as a confession over pizza one night. I'm gay. Dad, he'd said, pizza sliced limp in his hand. Cool if that's weird for you. I'd hugged him. Said, love's love. Kid. Now past the pepperoni. Inside, though, a flicker of unease, not hate, but the cultural echo of small-town whispers. The fear I'd fail him somehow. He'd dated sparingly, a barista named Theo for a summer. A college fling that ended in tears, but never brought anyone home. Not since her death. Mike's words gnawed at me on the drive home. The radio crooning some Springsteen dirge about broken promises. The house was dark when I pulled in, porch light flickering like a hesitant heartbeat. Upstairs, Christian's door was cracked, blue light from his screen spilling out. I paused, hand on the knob, but chickened out, slipped into my room instead, the bed mocking me with its emptiness. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with Sarah's face morphing into his, her voice whispering his pleas. The next week blurred into routine, but the undercurrent pulled stronger. He'd leave notes on the fridge, made lasagna, your fave, in her handwriting, a flourish I'd recognize anywhere. I'd find her earrings on the bathroom counter, the ones he'd borrowed for a costume party years back. Small invasions, building like storm clouds over the Catskills. At school, I'd zone out during lectures on the Civil War, mind replaying that night, the warmth of him against me before the truth hit. Was it comfort or something darker? A taboo I couldn't name? Then came the argument that cracked us open. It was Friday, rain lashing the windows like judgment, and I'd come home early to find him on the couch. Laptop open to old home videos, Sarah dancing in the kitchen to Motown, Christian as a kid twirling her around. He froze when I entered, hitting pause like he'd been caught stealing. Just remembering, he said, but his voice was thick. Enough remembering, I exploded, the dam breaking. This house is a shrine, and you're the high priest, dressing up in her clothes, cooking her recipes, sleeping in her goddamn bed. What do you want from me? Christian? Absolution? A replacement dad who plays pretend. He stood, face pale as the lightning outside. I want you to see me, not her shadow, not the poor orphan stepson. Me, Christian. Who loves you? Who loves me? The words hung. Electric. His eyes widened. A deer in headlights. And he backpedaled. As family. I mean, like she did, but it was too late. The air hummed with the unspoken. The line we'd towed all week now crossed in a stutter. I stormed upstairs, slamming my door, heart racing like I'd run a marathon. Down the hall, I heard him pacing. Asobiscaping ro, gut-wrenching. That night, alone in the dark, I admitted the truth I'd buried. His love scared me because part of me felt it too. A pull beyond fatherly, born of shared loss and lonely nights. And that terrified me more than any ghost. The rain didn't let up for days, turning Poughkeepsie into a watercolor smear, gray skies bleeding into the river, streets slick with regret. I threw myself into work, grading papers on the Boston Tea Party like it was a metaphor for dumping our baggage overboard. But the kids saw through me. Mister. Ush, you okay? My star pupil. Jamal asked during homeroom, his braids swinging as he leaned over her. You look like you lost a battle with a time machine. I forced a chuckle. muttering about allergies. But inside, the war raged. Loyalty to Sarah's memory versus this magnetic confusion Christian stirred. He kept his distance after the blowout. Meals eaten in shifts like we were roommates in a bad sitcom. But the notes persisted, subtler now. A post-it on my briefcase. Don't forget the game tonight. Go Bills. In his own scrawl. A peace offering. I'd crumple them, then smooth them out later, tucking them into my desk drawer like contraband. Mike cornered me at the shop midweek. Grease under his nails. Eyes sharp. You ghosted on poker. And don't bullshit me. This about the kid? I confess the rest. The love slip. The dreams where boundaries blurred into something achingly tender. He whistled low. Taboo territory. Brother. Society's got rules for a reason. Step or not. That's a minefield. But if it's real, talk to someone. A pro. Before it blows. Therapy. The word tasted like surrender. But Saturday morning, I found myself in DR. Elena Vasquez's office downtown. A cozy space with throw pillows and a ficus that screamed safe. She was mid-40s, Latina with a no-nonsense bob and eyes that dissected without judgment. Grief manifests in strange ways, she said after I spilled the saga. No hold bar the nightgown. The argument. The forbidden flicker. You're both orphans in this. Adam. Christians acting out attachment wounds. Yours are stirring up identity questions you've maybe ignored. Question is, what's the line for you? Fatherly love. Or, more. I left with homework. Journal the feelings. No filter. That night, pen scratching across pages in the den. Words poured out like the rain outside. His laugh echoes hers. But it's deeper, laced with sarcasm she never had. He brushes past in the hall. My skin hums, not disgust, but awareness. God help me. It's awareness. I tore the page, burned it in the sink, ashes swirling down the drain like absolved sins. But the seed was planted, rooting in the fertile soil of our isolation. The turning point came unannounced. A Thursday evening when the power flickered out mid-dinner, thunder booming like cannon fire, plunging us into candlelit limbo. Christian emerged from his room, flashlight in hand, face illuminated like a jack-o'-lantern. Truce, he asked, holding up a deck of cards, Sarah's old bicycle set, edges worn from endless rummy nights. I nodded, too weary to fight, and we settled at the kitchen table, flames dancing shadows across the walls. We played for hours, stories slipping out between hands. He talked about college dreams deferred, the graphic design program he'd eyed, inspired by her sketches. I wanted to make her proud, he said, dealing aces with a flourish. But now, feels pointless without her critiquing my fonts. I shared too, haltingly, the divorce before Sarah, how it had left me gun-shy, convinced love was a sucker's bet until she proved me wrong. She saw the good in messes, I said, winning around. Like you, kid. Skateboard scars and all, the air softened, charged with vulnerability. When the lights surged back, we lingered, cards forgotten. I'm sorry, he whispered, reaching across, his hand covering mine, warm and tentative. No pretense, just skin on skin, a current jumping like the storm outside. I didn't pull away. Instead, I turned my palm up, fingers lacing with his, and in that moment, the world narrowed to us, two men adrift, finding harbor in the wreckage. But harbors have storms. The next day, my phone buzzed during lunch duty, an unknown number, voicemail waiting. Adam, it's Theo, Christian's ex from last summer. Look, I hate to meddle, but he called me last night, wasted, rambling about you. Said stuff like, pretending to be her, wanted to be more. Man's a mess, but he's got it bad. Watch out, he's not thinking straight. Click. My stomach dropped. Fork clattering to the tray. Theo, the barista with the sleeve tattoos and easy grin Christian had mooned over for months. They'd broken up over Theo's wandering eye. Or so I'd heard. But calling him, confessing to an ex about us, it felt like betrayal. A secret weaponized. I confronted Christian that evening. Phone thrust under his nose like evidence in a trial. What the hell? Pouring your guts out to Theo, using him as your therapist now. His face drained of color. Then flushed hot. You went through my phone? Jesus. Adam. Voicemail. Not your damn diary. He left it for me. Said you're not thinking straight. What does that even mean? That you're what? Playing games? With me? With him. Christian's laugh was hollow, edged with hysteria. Games? You think this is a game? Theo was a mistake, a rebound because I couldn't admit the truth. To him, to you, to myself, he paced, fistballed. I called him because I was scared. Okay, after last night, holding your hand like it meant something, I panicked. Thought maybe he could talk me down, tell me it's just grief-fueled insanity. And what did he say? I pressed, voice low, dangerous. I'm fucked up. That loving your stepdad's not straight by any textbook. The word hung again. Weapon now. He stopped, eyes glistening. Yeah, I said it. Love. Not the Hallmark card kind, the real, gut punch kind that doesn't give a damn about blood or labels. I've felt it growing since she died, watching you break and wanting to fix it. The pretending? It was stupid, desperate, but it let me be close without the words. The room spun, his confession a grenade with a pin pulled. Love. From him to me. Taboo didn't cover it. This was dynamite in a powder keg, ready to level our fragile world. You can't, I choked out, backing toward the door. It's wrong. I'm your dad, step or not. Society, Sarah's memory. We be monsters. His face crumpled, tears tracking down. Monsters? Or just human? She told you in that letter, love me like you loved her. Maybe that's the point, but I was already gone, fleeing to the car, engine roaring as I peeled out into the dusk. Miles blurred, radio silent, until I ended up at the cabin, Sarah's upstate retreat, key still on my ring. The place was musty, unchanged, her quilts on the bed, sketch pads stacked by the fireplace. I collapsed there, whiskey bottle in hand, wrestling demons. Was it love? Or projection? Grief's cruel joke? And if it was real, God, what then? Back home the next morning, a note waited, gone to crash with a friend. Need space. Don't hate me. Friend. Theo, the thought twisted like a knife. Jealousy flaring unbidden. Days stretched into a void, school a haze. Mike's concerned texts ignored. Then, the call came, Christian's number, but Theo's voice. He's in the hospital. Adam. Overdose, pills from her old stash. Not lethal, but he asked for you. The drive was a blur, rain-slick roads mirroring my panic. At the ER in Albany, fluorescent hell. I found him in a curtained bay. For dripping, eyes hollow. I'm sorry, he rasped as I burst in, gripping the rail. Didn't mean to. Just wanted the noise to stop. I sank into the chair, hand finding his clammy, but mine. No more running, I whispered, voice breaking. We'll figure it. Together, nurses bustled, but in that sterile bubble, something shifted, not resolution, but a fragile bridge over the chasm. Discharge papers crinkled in my pocket like a guilty secret as we drove home from the hospital. The Hudson a steel ribbon under November's brittle sun. Christian slumped in the passenger seat, hoodie swallowing his frame, the weight of the night before etched in purple shadows under his eyes. Thanks for coming, he murmured, staring out at the passing orchards, apples rotting on the ground like fallen ambitions. Thought you'd finally wash your hands of me. Never, I said. Too quick, too fierce. The word hung between us, a vow unspoken. We'd talked in whispers by his bedside, fragmented confessions, apologies layered like onion skins. The pills, her leftover painkillers from chemo, tucked in a drawer like landmines. I wasn't trying to die, he'd admitted, voice small. Just sleep. Deep, dreamless sleep where lines don't blur. I'd held his hand through it, thumb tracing his knuckles. And in that grip, the taboo softened, not erased, but acknowledged as human frailty. Back at the house, I enforced the pact. No more ghosts. We cleared her closet together, that Saturday afternoon turning into a ritual of release. Dresses folded into donation boxes for the women's shelter downtown. Her perfumes spritzed one last time before capping them away. Christian hesitated over the nightgown, lace trembling in his fingers. This one, I kept it because it smelled like her. Like home. I nodded, throat tight, and we boxed it too. Not burned, but buried with dignity. Life recalibrated in fits and starts. He re-enrolled in online classes, sketching logos on his tablet late into nights, sharing drafts over takeout Thai, the spicy kind she hated, a quiet rebellion. I'd cook breakfast, eggs over easy the way he liked, no extra place set. Conversations deepened, his fears of never measuring up to her legacy, my buried doubts about masculinity's rigid script. Growing up gay in this town, he said one evening by the fire pit, sparks rising like prayers. It's like being the punchline to a joke no one tells. But you made it okay. Even when I tested it. Tested. The word echoed that first night's pretense. But now it carried weight. Not shame. We skirted the edges, brushing shoulders in the kitchen, lingering hugs goodbye before my morning commute. Electric. Tentative. Like pioneers mapping uncharted land. Mike noticed, of course, over coffee at the diner. You two seem lighter, but careful. Man. Folks talk. He wasn't wrong. At the grocery, Mrs. Delaney from church raised an eyebrow at our cart, his almond milk next to my bud. Whispers followed. Poor Adam, raising that boy alone. But we armored up, ignoring the small-town static. Then the bomb dropped, courtesy of Hargrove's office. A follow-up on the will. Sarah's life insurance had a clause. A trust for Christian's future partner, disbursed only with proof of stability, a home, a job, a ring on someone's finger. She wanted him secure. The lawyer droned over speakerphone, oblivious to the irony. Figured it'd keep him from his daddy's wandering ways. Christian's bio-dad, the ghost who'd bail when he was 5, chasing oil rigs in Texas. The money, 50 grand, sat frozen, a carrot on a string. It's bullshit, Christian fumed after, slamming cabinets in search of chips. Like she didn't trust me to figure it out. Or worse, like she knew I'd fall for the wrong kind of guy. His eyes met mine, loaded. Wrong kind. Stepdad. The air crackled, and before I could deflect, he closed the gap, hand on my arm firm, questioning. What if we proved it, faked it, just for the cash? Get a place in the city, start fresh. No more pretending, real this time. The proposition stunned me. A high-wire act over the abyss. Fake a partnership, lie to the world, to her memory, but beneath the outrage. Temptation bloomed. Escape this house of echoes. Build something ours in Brooklyn's bustle, where queer couples strolled hand in hand without side eyes. It's insane, I said, but my voice lacked conviction. Legal? Moral? He shrugged, vulnerability cracking his bravado. Moral subjective. and legal. Hargrove's old school, a lease. Joint account. Might fly if we play it straight-faced. Irony again. We tabled it, but the seed took root, sprouting in quiet moments, researching lofts online, him doodling our initials intertwined. The climax hit like a nor'easter, fierce, unrelenting. Christmas Eve, snow blanketing the neighborhood in hush. We hosted Mike and a few stragglers for eggnog and lights. Laughter filled the rooms, tinsel glinting like hope. But midway through charades, Christian's phone buzzed. Theo, again, slurring from a bar in Albany. Miss you, babe. That stepdad drama? Forget it. Come back, we were good. I overheard from the kitchen, pouring refills. The words a gut punch. Jealousy roared, irrational and hot. Had our bridge been a detour? Him hedging bets with the ex? Later, guest gone. Tree lights twinkling like judgmental stars. I confronted him in the living room. Theo again? What's the play here? Christian, stringing him along while we fake this. His face twisted, shock, then fury. Eavesdropping now? He's drunk. Texting nonsense. I blocked him weeks ago. He yanked out his phone, showing the log, ignored calls, deleted threads. This is about us. Adam. Or are you the one scared, worried what the neighbors think, or what she'd say from heaven? Sarah, I shot back, voice rising to match the storm outside. Don't you dare invoke her like a shield. This us, it's a betrayal. Of her, of everything we built. The dam broke then, words flooding. My fears of being the pervert in the story, his pain of being reduced to a phase. He shoved me, not hard, but enough to stagger, tears streaming. Betrayal? You're the one who pulled away every time it got real. The hospital, the hand-holding, then poof. Walls up. Maybe I should have stayed with Theo, someone who doesn't flinch. The slap of those words echoed louder than any storm. I grabbed my coat, storming into the night, snow whipping my face, boots crunching toward the car. But halfway, regret halted me. Inside, lights blazed. He'd followed, silhouette in the door, calling my name. I turned back, the fight draining like blood from a wound. I'm sorry, I gasped, pulling him into the porch light's glow. I flinched because I cared too much. Too deep. It's not fake for me. He collapsed against me, sobs muffled in my scarf. Me neither. God, Adam, it's real. Terrifying, but real. We stood there, entwined against the cold, the world fading to our shared breath, raw, romantic in its ruin. No kiss, not yet, just presence, a vow forged in vulnerability. Spring thawed us slowly. We filed the papers, joint lease on a walk-up in the village, my savings bridging the trust gap. Hargrove grumbled, but stamped approval, none the wiser. The move was chaos, boxes of his sketches, my history tomes, Sarah's quilt draped over the futon like a blessing. Neighbors here nodded at our partnership, rainbow flags fluttering from fire escapes a subtle welcome. We navigated the new normal, dinners at corner bistros, walks in Washington Square where buskers strummed folk tunes of lost loves found. But humanism demands shadows. Doubts lingered, a therapy session where Dr. Vasquez probed, is this healing or avoidance? Nights when grief ambushed, her laugh in a dream pulling me under. Christian had his slips too, Theo's shadow texts. A bar pickup he confessed tearfully, testing boundaries we redrew nightly. Yet we endured, building on the pretense that saved us. One June evening, rooftop garden aglow with city lights. He sketched me, pencil strokes capturing the lines etched by loss and love. Beyond expectation, he murmured, echoing the thought I'd buried. I pulled him close, Foreheads touching under a canopy of stars. The Hudson a distant murmur. Not perfect, not without scars, but ours. In America's vast, flawed heart, we'd carved a space, two men, step-tied and soul-bound, choosing each other amid the wreckage. And in that choice, we honored her most, not as ghosts, but as the living proof that love, messy and defiant, outlasts the dark.